welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk to you mamas all about art. Give you an update video on all the supplies and resources, but really talk to you about creating the environment for your children to really enjoy finding relaxation and freedom through art. So if you'd like to hear more, then let's get started. Hey you, did you hit that play button for the very first time? Well, welcome to the channel. I'm Tasha. This is Tasha Pivots, where we talk about all things mamahood and homeschool and how I'm pivoting through this journey. And I've got my Frida Kahlo shirt on. Kahlo, I'm gonna say her own name wrong right now, but anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. I love art, and I have such a fond memory of my childhood and how I, as an introverted child and an only child, how I connected with art. And you guys have been talking to me a lot about you guys wanting to do art and how do we go about it, or you're not very artistic, or you're just like, oh my, the mess, and what are we using and all the things. So I'm updating it and sharing with you now because I did do a video about a year ago. I'll link it below if you want to check that one out. I shared some more resources and things, which I'm going to show you guys briefly, but I really wanted to chat with you guys because art really is all about, it should be free. Art is about being free, having self-expression, creating and having joy while creating. And if you're new here, I have a bachelor's in fine arts with a primary study in fashion design. And I have been creating since I can remember. And yeah, I took the color theory classes, I took the art history, the life drawing, and all those things. And I have art that I've created, and I have art that I've collected. And so I love all art forms, and so I wanted to share with you guys almost across the board, not just with our traditional style of like painting and drawing, but even when it comes to music. Like my daughter is working towards becoming a classically trained pianist. And then my youngest is a performer naturally. She's got the wit, she's got the pizzazz, she's got all of the movements, and it is just a joy to watch them find their own ways of expressing joy through art. And so that is really what I want to encourage you mamas who are really wanting to allow your children this space, but maybe not sure how to navigate it. So first things first, it's all about the environment. It's about creating the environment for your children to have that experience. And whether you live in an apartment or you live in a house, whether you need to place certain reinforcements in, there's plenty of ways to do that. So if you're more of like, I don't want paint on my floor, I don't want paint on my tables, I don't want paint anywhere, then maybe take it outside. There's nothing like having the sound of nature outside, or if you've got a backyard, if you've got a patio. I particularly do mine at the school table because we have large windows that brings in natural light, and our whole scenery is trees. So they are able to just not have very many distractions, and I make sure that there are reinforcements placed in because I don't want them to ever feel like I've got to constantly say, oop, don't do that, nope, we can't do that. You know, it's even saying it like that revs you up. So imagine receiving that. And so I don't ever want that to be the case when it comes to just having fun and allowing there to be art. So first and foremost, I'm gonna say I don't use a curriculum, okay? I have taught art for young children before I had children, and then I've also been teaching my kids to just enjoy the freedom of flowing, honestly. It's all about a flow. And I go back to my college days of entering into a space, whether it was a basic corporate building, but they still created ambiance in the room, whether it was lighting, whether it was music, whether it was just the way the table was set, the way we all sat around if we were doing a life drawing class. And, you know, there were so many different elements to creating the mood. And so it's important. And so I do the same for my kids. Now, we don't have dimming of lights or anything, but we have natural light. We have a place to play our music, and I love to lean more towards classical music that doesn't have a lot of, if any, words, because then there's no distraction. It's background noise. And I naturally love classical music, and my kids do too. At first they used to just sleep to it, and now I switched it and kind of done more like rain sounds and things for them to sleep, so that the classical music can be something they look forward to during their art time, and that way they don't mix it with finding rest of being like tired. Another thing is just finding the right time for art. That can sometimes be the question. Now, because I don't do a curriculum, it's not a part of our everyday. I used to, especially in the early stages of my homeschooling journey, I learned to allow myself to get anything done in the home that I need to get done during the day. I don't want them just having immense amounts of screen time. I'd set up easels, watercolor, and I allowed them to just paint. And whether that was 15 minutes, whether that was 30 minutes, whether it was a full hour, that really allowed me to do whatever it was, whether it was washing dishes, making dinner, making lunch, maybe taking on a phone call, whatever it needs to be. And I made sure that the environment was set up that they could enjoy that time, and I don't need to fully monitor it. Now, if you've got really small children, you may want to stay in the room. But they should be fine. And my kids, honestly, I have a very calm-spirited child and have a very excited and very motivated and movable child, okay? And you can probably think of who's who. But either way, when it gets to this time of putting on the music, creating the environment, they learn that it is time for them to just flow, and their temperaments calm all the way down. The music calms them down, and they get in the flow and in the zone of them just creating. And so try that. So like when you guys see, like some of you follow me on Instagram and you see the videos of me sometimes just following them, looking at their artwork, playing the music, that's real. That's not staged. That is my kids doing that every day or doing it at the time. Now, when I didn't follow a particular curriculum, but A Year of Learning does have an entire section for art depiction. I encourage you, if you're an art learning family or you're doing it this year, do the art depiction. It is really fun. You do a particular art for a page from a particular artist. And when we did that our first year, especially Year of Tales, I loved doing it because it allowed Zoe to create different sceneries and do different things, and it almost helped me out a little bit. I didn't have to say, okay, this is what you're going to do today. It just allowed her to kind of have an entryway into art, as far as like more stylized art. But now I don't. I honestly, like, either it's a freedom day or we will talk about it. So last year I did Tuesdays was art with friends, and it was a day that everyone looked forward to because friends came over. We set up easels on the table and we painted. And we would have a combination of art history and just having some art time. I think it's great to teach your kids art history even at this age, just giving them a little bit of a background, a little bit of a framework of where did this come from? It didn't just happen. This, there are some founding fathers of art and founding women of art and their self-expression and their stories. And I think this has also helped with why my daughters love museums, because they got to see them and then they were doing them, and then we would also create experiences of that. That is a whole moment, honestly. If you wanted to do a field trip at the end of the week or in the middle of the week, take your kids to the museum, give them an art journal, and allow them to sit there and just recreate. It is beautiful to see, and it's just like awesome. I did it in college a lot because it was required, but seeing kids do it is like, it's beautiful. And it doesn't need to look like what they see. It's just them receiving whatever they're feeling from that art and then like creating or putting down what they're feeling about what they're seeing. And allowing your children to just express themselves and express themselves in a different way. So that is it. Creating the environment, and that environment again can be at the table, and that environment can be at a physical space. Whether you're doing a nature walk, and I've done that. We did that our first year of homeschooling. I made sure they had nature journals, which was just plain art books. I'm trying to find one. With plain art books like this. And I brought watercolor. I laid a blanket out and I said, paint what you see. There's so many ways to do art without it having to be controlled by a curriculum, or controlled by boundaries and walls. You don't want that. Your kids already have, whether they have table time work or you're doing a unit study or whatever, they already have that structure, right? So I come at art with, I don't want there to be any structure. Like, do what you want to do. relax. And it needs to happen because our kids are not used to hearing that. You know, sometimes our kids are not used to hearing, express yourself the way you want to. There's no rules. And especially in my house, I'm more of an A-type personality. My kids know there's a flow, there's rules, there's a function. We don't play. You know, there's structure in my home. I'm not that mom that allows my children to do whatever they want all the time, but I leave moments for it so they can treasure it, and they can enjoy it and fully embrace it. Rather, everything's from Michaels. It's literally all from Michaels. I don't use expensive art supplies and materials for kids because it's pointless. They don't know how to use it, and then you're breaking the bank when it's not necessary. My watercolor palettes are all from Michaels. I buy gradually, especially when they've got that deal for buy one, get one. It's like, hey, let's go ahead and grab and snatch. I'll show you guys some now. I've got some pastels. These are great for your 3rd and up. I wouldn't use these for anyone younger because it could get a little crazy. Another one is the Craft Smart markers, or not markers, paints. I literally have a set of 50. I bought them because it was on sale as a huge pack, and I got almost every color. I stick with kids learning primary, secondary, and tertiary colors first. And have the greatest project you'd ever have your kid do is a color wheel. As their first introduction to art, have them do a color wheel. And, you know, it's simple. It teaches them how different colors blend, what colors go together, and then and how what complements each other. All those things can be a lesson in and of itself, right? And like I said, let's see, the papers that I use, again, are Michaels. I don't go into the more expensive papers because I probably would do that with my daughter when she has expressed that she's ready to take art to another level. And then we will go at that pace. Because then there's, you know, for children I shop at Michaels, but for when I'm doing art, I go to Blick, or I go to my local art stores or art gallery places that actually sell the things that I would use for professional work. So you've got here watercolor paper. This is the brand Strathmore. They usually have these on sale. I'll show you guys actually what I mean by like some of the projects they did last year, because this is a used one. Zoe did a huge study on Van Gogh with her classmate when we did Friends with Art on Tuesdays. I had her print a picture, find a picture of him, and then I had her answer some details about who Van Gogh is. And then we took like 2 weeks to just study his different brush strokes, because he, you know, with watercolor and the layering effect of how do we layer a picture, starting with the what's in the on the bottom and then layering what goes on top. There's so many different ways, and maybe one day I will create a curriculum, but I just think I want there to be freedom at this time and utilize the freedom right now. And the other ones that I love are the Canson papers. I get this one in the watercolor, the mixed media, and I think I stick with that. And I love the watercolor ones because these ones are easy to rip out, or you can get the notebook kind that they can flip through, leave parts for notes and details if you want. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I told you guys those sticks. Let me grab them. So here's some sticks right here that I use. They look like lipsticks, literally. Let me get that out of my face so you guys see. There we go. I'll see if I can link them below. I love these for the little ones because if you really don't want them getting, if you're not using watercolor and they want something a little different, these are fun because they literally draw with them. They're easy, washable. They won't get it mess too much. And then they're sponges. Sponges are really great for controlling a little bit more water. And let's see. I have these 2 books I shared with you guys in that last video, and if you want more details of looking at that, look at that video. But here's the DK Art Encyclopedia and Visual Encyclopedia. It goes through all the different type of art forms, from painting, sculpting, to music, and all the above. I'm not going to do a full flip through of that, but you can check that out, and like I said, in that other video or the link below. And then I have this one. I love this one if you're teaching art and you're actually designating a time for art. This is A Child's Introduction of Art, The World's Greatest Paintings and Sculptors by Heather Alexander. We use this one quite a bit when I taught art because it allowed them to have art history, but it also had some fun activities. So for days where I didn't really fully plan an art study, this actually had some fun ones. Like I've mentioned, you putting paper underneath a flat table, having them lay on the floor, and have them paint like Michelangelo did in the Sistine Chapel. So yeah, it has some really cool ones in here, different periods and times, and this was a lot of fun. We did some molding with clay, the little Crayola clay, and just let them have fun. Just let them have fun. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it encouraged you to really create the space, the environment for your kids. Take off the pressure for yourself and for your children to control the environment. And so yeah, if you have any questions, please link it down below in the comments and I will check them out. Give this video a warm thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit that red subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll talk to you later.